of the Palisades are grasping a nightmare.
Fuck! Are you fucking kidding me?
Most will be on their own to get out.
Oh my god, babe, it's so bad. We gotta go. Let's pack our shit up.
It is 100% in alignment with the wind. This has the potential for 200 plus acres in the next 20 minutes. We have a potential for structures being threatened in the next 20 minutes.
City police units are also en route, but instead of being sent straight to the fray to help alert residents, they're diverted to a command post.
Advise you need, AD to respond to the station and be with the fire chief for evacuation.
This is where we will be to get brief on evacuation.
They haven't told us to leave yet.
Not until 47 minutes into the incident does the Los Angeles Emergency Management Division send its first alert. The push notice buzzes every cell phone in the Palisades, and those who've signed up for robocalls.
Those near the Palisades fire should get set for a potential evacuation.
The area under threat is so large, 25 square miles, even with 100 LAPD officers and 350 city and county firefighters on scene that morning, many Palisades residents will say they saw no one on the street, felt left alone to make crucial decisions, and received evacuation orders after the fact. Early evacuees like Jeremy Weinberg already are driving out through flames, but the fire department's incident commanders, IC on the radio, begin to send conflicting and confusing orders about a full-scale evacuation.
Palisades IC Command wants to issue an evac warning for that area, for all those Palisades area. IC copies evac warning for the whole area. We're going to issue that evacuation notice now. Confirming you want an order and not a warning, correct? An order, evac warning, correction, evac order. Metro Palisades IC, stand by on that, stand by.
The decision tree for an evacuation goes like this. Incident commanders request the order. It's relayed by the fire's dispatch center, Metro, and then issued by the City Emergency Operations Center. In this fire, after 1 hour, that hasn't happened.
We need to get these cars out of here immediately.
Disaster software from Old Dominion University calculates that the time needed to evacuate this area is 5 hours. Under blue sky conditions, the roads fire-free, and half of them converted to one-way flow. This isn't just about the need for people to escape. First responders need to get in.
All companies at the bottom of Palisades Drive are unable to swim up. Traffic completely blocks all 4 lanes.
Amid the road havoc, there's an evacuation order, not for the Palisades, and nor by the city. Los Angeles County, issuing its own alerts to the surrounding areas since the first plume of smoke, now tells those along the Pacific Coast Highway and the already impassable evacuation routes to join the exodus.
The homeowners are saying they're unable to access any exit routes. There's fire on both sides of the roads on Palisades. You need to think about with evac if they need to go north or how we're going to shelter in place in this bowl.
Others also turn back. They'll gamble that the traffic clears before the ridge burns.
Walked in the house, I'm like, guys, you can't even evacuate if you want to.
Except now, that is exactly what LA's Metropolitan Fire Communications Division calls for. 12:07 p.m., 1 hour and 42 minutes into the incident, the city orders residents of Pacific Palisades to leave. He holds residents themselves responsible.
The fact that people were still not evacuated, still did not heed the warning, were just coming down the canyon, is a reminder of how serious this moment is and how important it is you listen to these evacuation orders.
Evacuated from this Good Samaritan's car. You got it, Dad. We're having to walk. This is crazy. There's a fire right outside our car. We got it. Okay, grab this pole. Grab this pole. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to get your walker, Dad. Hold on to that, okay? Two. Come on, Dad. Turn around. We got this. We got this. Come on. Turn around. You got it. Keep walking down the hill. All right, let's go.
Fire Department Captain Sheila Kelleher-Burko, who's been helping to lead this situation for the latest on this fast-spreading fire. Captain, thank you so much for joining us, especially during these circumstances. As we've heard, these wind-driven fires spread erratically and rapidly. What's the scale of the current evacuation order?
The current evacuation order is huge. There's 30,000 residents that live in this Palisades area, and they've all been ordered to evacuate. I think what's really important is that they pay attention to the warnings because we ramp it up for the most part. So as soon as that warning comes into place, start getting your things ready and start evacuating. It's really getting out early. That really helps us.
The Associated Press analyzed emergency communications from the fire, including radio traffic from first responders and public evacuation messages from FEMA archives and other alert databases. That data shows the first evacuation order for neighborhoods closest to the Palisades fire didn't come until about 40 minutes after some of those homes were already burning. The fire started around 10:30 a.m. With the Santa Ana winds raging, some people decided to leave immediately. By 11:27 a.m., firefighters began reporting homes on fire. It wasn't until 12:07 p.m. that the order to evacuate was sent, but by then, more people had fled and the few ways out were clogged with traffic.
We started getting notifications, nothing buzzing, but just what seemed like SMS messages that said, prepare to evacuate, be prepared to evacuate, but not ordering us to evacuate. And we kept seeing these messages, which frankly, we weren't giving a whole lot of attention to because what mattered was what we saw with our own eyes.
Los Angeles City Fire and Emergency Management officials declined to address questions about the timing of the evacuation orders. Los Angeles County Emergency Management officials noted that they had issued advance warnings about the high winds, notified people of the wildfire, and urged them to be ready to evacuate. When officials issued an order to evacuate at 12:07 p.m., all 4 lanes of Palisades Drive were blocked by cars. People had tried to escape by driving down the wrong side of the road, but they couldn't make it to the Pacific Coast Highway. That meant people in the neighborhood at the top of the road couldn't get out, and fire crews at the bottom of the road couldn't reach the highlands. At 1:09 p.m., radio traffic from first responders shows the fire was threatening the lives of people trapped on Palisades Drive. Police and fire crews began evacuating people on foot, leaving abandoned cars behind.
Los Angeles City Emergency Management Division said it sent all evacuation orders requested of it by the City Fire Department, and the City Fire Department declined to comment.
Welcome back to the Ladies of Liberty podcast. And if you thought we were done talking about the LA fires, we aren't done. Okay, guys, there's probably going to be 2 more parts of this thing. But this is part 3 of our deep dive into Los Angeles and Los Angeles County and these destructive fires that happened not that long ago. The news cycle's moving so fast. We don't want to forget about what happened in Los Angeles because we have questions. And I think it's important to highlight what has been going on in LA before the news cycle completely moves away and these people are completely forgotten.
Good afternoon. I'm with the Los Angeles Fire Department. We're here at the Emergency Operations Center with some information for our fellow Angelinos. My name is Captain Jennifer Wilcox. My pronouns are she, her. I am a Caucasian female wearing a black shirt uniform with eyewear and a black hat. The City of Los Angeles continues to aggressively respond to the Palisades Fire and Hearst Fire amid the dangerous ongoing windstorm and extreme weather conditions impacting the Los Angeles region. Helicopters are again dropping water from the air, and hundreds of firefighters are continuing to be on scene and to help respond to fire emergencies. LAPD and city traffic officers continue to deploy hundreds of increased staff to assist with traffic gridlock, evacuations, and additional support.
You know, if you think that us talking about DEI is far-fetched, and maybe it's just a coincidence that these lesbian women keep getting in these positions. Let's meet this guy. Jay, tell us who Chief Anthony Marone is.
Anthony Marone is LA County Fire Chief, not to be confused with the city, who is Crowley. So it's the county, which is huge, and that encompasses Altadena. And he has a couple of choice words to say about DEI.
And so Los Angeles' new fire chief, Anthony Marone, is a lifelong Angelino who became a firefighter because he wanted to give back to the community he grew up in. Okay, so he is a 37-year firefighter. All right. He said, I wanted a rewarding career, and I have to tell you, I have certainly succeeded for myself. Marone says he met with all the stakeholder groups shortly after being appointed, adding that he has committed to these organizations, not the taxpayer, by the way, these organizations, that he will address their concerns, not the taxpayers' concerns, to make sure that your fire departments are fully funded and fully staffed. No. The shareholders' concerns. Quote, the LA Fire Department's going to do even more to make sure that we recruit, hire, and promote women and people of color to have a fire department that more clearly represents their residents and the community that we serve.
I feel safer by you just saying that.
Right? We are safer.
Because you have a bunch of vaginas and people with darker skin, and that will put fires out.
Oh, wait, it gets better. Another area of concern for Moreau has to do with addressing mental health of the department's firefighters.
Residents attending a community meeting at Sinai Temple in Westwood. Representatives from Los Angeles City and County Fire Departments, the LAPD, and the Sheriff's Department updating them on the fight against the wind-driven fire that destroyed thousands of homes and businesses. Many wondering when they'll be able to return to their neighborhoods. But some in the crowd growing frustrated, tempers flaring as the meeting went on.
They got us all down here and provided us with no information.
Seriously, everybody, let's one speaker at a time.
Okay, so I'll address the fire resources and the fact that you didn't have a fire truck on your street, sir. I believe you, because we don't have enough fire trucks to put one on every street. That's the unfortunate truth. I understand. Please remember, we did everything we could to prepare and upstaff prior to any fire ever started. We responded to LA City to assist them in the Palisades fire. Unfortunately, the fire burned into LA County. It got to your street and we weren't there. I believe you, I hear you. But please, we don't have enough fire trucks in all of Los Angeles to put one on every street. We also responded to the Eaton fire, which destroyed 9,000 structures and killed 17 people, and we responded to the Hearst fire. We had 4 fires that day. We've never had these winds. This fire was different.
And in some cases, they have reached 140 miles per hour over land. These are the Santa Ana winds and then some, a strong, intense, severe system we haven't seen the likes of since the 1990s, and it's causing big problems, risking lives, and it's on the move. We begin tonight with NBC's Miguel Almaguer in Pasadena. Miguel, good evening.
Ryan, good evening. These are some of the most powerful winds to ever hit this area. The city of Pasadena took a beating. As a matter of fact, folks that live here have been told to stay home if their home isn't damaged. And this wind-driven event isn't over yet.
The notorious Santa Ana winds, with gusts at nearly 100 miles an hour, took down hundreds of trees and toppled power poles.
He's not wired.
In Los Angeles, downed electrical lines sparked brush fires, and fear even a small blaze could fuel a massive wind-driven fire. First responders dispatched to a new call every 12 seconds.
We were losing shingles off the roof. Rain gutter came flying off. It was nuts.
In Pasadena, the city declared an emergency. Schools were closed, and roads and freeways that were open were backed up for miles. Across California, an estimated 340,000 lost power. The damage is in the millions. The cleanup will take days.
We're here taking pictures and showing the kids because I don't know that they're going to see it again.
This was a community conflagration where fire moved from home to home to home. I could give direction and offer to the board a staffing plan that would be, we couldn't fund it. We could put more fire stations in the Santa Monica Mountains, and we could put 5 fire trucks at every one of those stations, and it still might not be enough. But there's a cost to that. And unfortunately, our property tax at 1% does not support it. If we wanted to go to 1.25 or 1.5,
California is taxed out the ass. You're telling me
It's your fault again because you don't pay enough property taxes.
Yeah, you guys don't pay enough property taxes in California, I guess.
Some of the areas that
Maybe if he didn't focus on DEI.
Areas, and I never believed that Altadena,
There's a theme here.
Community.
Gavin Gruesome says it's your fault. It's all your fault.
Hey, you guys don't pay enough in taxes. You don't pay enough in taxes.
Right.
If you guys paid more,
it's all your fault. This is Anthony Marone's salary. In 2023, he was employed at Los Angeles County. He is, again, the Los Angeles County Fire Chief for the county. Not the
can I
city.
just say, are you noticing something with these? They're all employed in 2023.
I think Karen Bass was 2022, and Crowley
she's
was
the mayor.
2022, I believe. Yeah.
2020, all after the pandemic.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Like
Right.
nobody's been in these leadership positions for longer than 5 years.
So Anthony Marone was employed at Los Angeles County as Los Angeles County Fire Chief in 2023, and he still is. His annual salary is $750,000, according to public records. The salary was 419% higher than the average and 498% higher than the median salary in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he's blaming you because your property taxes aren't enough. Yes, we know about Proposition 13, but there's new people moving to California all the time, so that doesn't count.
I do think it's weird that all of these people were hired into these leadership positions during the Biden administration. Don't you think that's weird?
That's a very interesting point. What a coincidence.
Now let's meet this lady.
Janice Quinones.
Denise
And
Quinones.
she is the CEO. She is in charge of DWP, which is the Department of Water and Power.
Let's see what she has to say. Maybe we'll find someone with common sense in this group.
Coming from the communities that I come, seeing what I've seen through my career in utilities and through the military. I've been in the Coast Guard 19 and a half years now, so I got 6 more months to qualify for my 20 years, which was my original goal.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank
And thank you for your service.
Thank you. It's important to me that everything we do, it's with an equity lens and social justice and making sure that we right the wrongs that we've done in the past from an infrastructure perspective, and that we involve the community in that process. And this utility is serious about it, is authentic about it. And so I'm just super excited to be part of that movement. Coming from the communities that I come.
So how is she going to create equity? Is she going to burn down all the white people's homes in the Palisade, destroy all their generational wealth, and then move all these, people of color and everyone who has an axe to grind from 150 years ago
Don't worry. DWP has a racial equity plan, though, not to worry.
This was supposed to be the water to put out the Palisades fire. This is the Santa Ynez Reservoir. It's the water supply basically for the Palisades. When they first started fighting the Palisades fire, they ran out of water extremely quickly. Wednesday, 3 a.m., they were basically out. And there's been a lot of talk on why this happened. So how long has this reservoir been empty for? Since February of last year. There was no communication from the Department of Water and Power to LAFD that there was a water supply issue. The firefighters, when they started fighting the fires, no one informed them that the reservoir was empty. This reservoir holds 117 million gallons of water. The fire department was using a water supply from 3 backup tanks, each one only holding 1 million gallons of water. They say it's closed for maintenance to repair the lid that's on top of it. I don't know a lot about reservoir maintenance, but there's literally no construction materials or vehicles anywhere in sight. Also, with a reservoir like this, you can refill it or start to refill it. So another question is, if they saw the Santa Ana winds were coming and we have this remarkably dry wet season, why was there no attempt to start refilling it back up? I know I threw a lot out there, but I think we need some answers, guys. Some real answers here.
Yeah, the DWP was talking about the problems with the water supply, and I was wondering if either the DWP or the fire department has any kind of numbers to talk about, like what is the number of hydrants that could not get water because of these pressure issues, what percentage of the system in Pacific Palisades wasn't getting serviced at that point, and given the type of things you're describing this morning, do you think there needs to be an overhaul of the system, given these increasing number of urban fires? And also, when does the mayor return?
And name and media outlet, please.
David Zahniser with the Los Angeles Times.
Chief, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we were trying to keep water at all altitudes on the Palisades, and I think about 3 in the morning, that's when the hydrants went dry.
Captain Adam Van Gerpen in the Pacific Palisades.
This hydrant has no water.
Where lack of water, critical to battling a still active wildfire, frustrated crews.
The water pressure be right now, ideally.
I mean, you want 50 to 80 is your ideal hydrant pressure.
And what have you got?
I'm bouncing between 0, 50. It's not a consistent pressure.
As nearby hydrants failed and water pressure fell, firefighters above switching from offense to defense.
When you run out of water in that engine,
not much we can do that.
Had we had water earlier on in the firefight, we probably could have stopped it from getting this big.
This is something we have not seen often, but when the hydrants are dry, crews have to rely on these tanker trucks because the fire waits for no one.
If you had officials in front of you right now, what would you ask for to have had a proper firefight here?
More firefighters, more fire hydrants, more airdropping capabilities. We need more of everything.
Right, above the Brentwood area, we are able to push water on that trunk line on the east side of that. And we have some water on higher elevations, 16 to 18,000, but at 3,000, at 3 a.m., all of the fire hydrants went dry in the Palisades. To your question of climate resiliency and how do we need to update the system, I would say that is true. We were talking with the county supervisor and Mark on how are we gonna change the way we operate our water systems for events like this. This is an unprecedented event. I think the 2011 winds was significant from a power outage perspective, but the fires have really increased the response complexity of this. We had crews trying to mitigate this, and we had to evacuate. We worked with fire department to try to get back in and try to fill the tanks again. It wasn't safe to do so. So you're managing the fires, you're managing the power outage, and you're managing the water needs because it was an urban wildfire firefighting. So yes, we have to look at our system from a climate resiliency as a region. And it's going to be more than just DWP. It's all the water agencies here, including the county.
Let's take a look at her salary. How much does she get paid?
It's quite the sum. The CEO of DWP is the highest paid new city employee with $750,000. That's her, who is a social justice warrior who didn't answer any questions. She goes, yeah, we got to do a better job. I guess we didn't really do that great of a job. We have to really look at it and then reflect.
Again, she is appointed 2023, 2024. These people have all been put in around the same exact time. Okay, like this, and they're all been given these high salaries, higher than the California median for their job. Yeah, there's a fair bit of corruption going on here, I'm sure. Can I just say, okay, I know there's a lot.
I wonder where your taxpayer dollars are going.
You know, as a historian, because I am a historian, for those of you in the audience, this reminds me a lot of the San Francisco fire in 1904, I think. Don't quote me on the year. But this is a lot of history doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. Now, when the San Francisco fire happened, it happened as a response to a natural occurrence. Okay, there was an earthquake, which kind of made the city a bit of a tinderbox, right? Half the buildings had crumbled. Your water infrastructure was completely destroyed in the earthquake. But what it uncovered was that the fire chief in San Francisco had warned the San Francisco mayor that if there were to be an earthquake, a naturally occurring event in San Francisco, everyone knows that you get earthquakes in California. Okay. If something were like that to happen, the chief said, hey, we need to have a water reserve in case we have a major earthquake and it destroys our infrastructure. Okay, that was in writing. But then you had these corrupt city officials that knew of the risk in San Francisco and completely ignored it. Okay, and instead of using the money that the taxpayers had, they decided to use the money in funding and giving kickbacks to their, friends, right? So they didn't use the money where they were supposed to use the money. Well, guess what? The military had to come in. That's a whole nother story, because the military came in and tried to stop the fire by using gunpowder explosive, which only exacerbated the fire. So there was a whole other issue there. But what it came down to it, after everything was said and done, 3,000 people had lost their lives. The entire city of San Francisco was completely destroyed. I mean, if you have a structure in San Francisco that is old enough to have survived the fire, that's pretty rare. Like, the whole city was almost decimated. But at the end of the day, when investigators came in, the mayor, several city council members were all arrested and put in jail because of the insane amount of corruption that was uncovered. It sounds as if Newsom refusing to show up where the emergency officials are and engage in these pressers tells me is a huge red flag for me. Throwing Karen Bass under is a huge red flag for me. Her leaving to Ghana is a huge red flag to me. These city officials having these crazy high salaries, all being appointed within the last 5 years, huge red flag to me. LA, you got a problem, and it's not the fires. And my hope is that Trump appoints someone to make sure that the federal aid is getting where it needs to go. Because it seems to me that the officials here are pretty big money grubbers. And they are either, it looks as though, I don't know, I'm not in discovery, I'm not a lawyer, but it looks as though there's quite a bit of money laundering going on. and some cronyism going on. And that's not okay.
And it's up to the voters, even though the voters say, how did Schiff get in? What happened to Steve Garvey? Why wasn't Gavin Gruesome recalled? What happened there?
You have a ball of worms. You got a ball of worms in California, and there is no apple. So you just got a ball of worms. Okay, you got to throw it out, California. You really need to throw it out, or you're going to have incidents like Paradise, like the Palisades, like Altadena. It's going to keep happening over and over and over again.
Got to vote differently.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed and learned a lot in this part 3 deep dive into the LA fires. We will be concluding in our next episode, part 4.
We hope.
We should be. We better, Jay. We better.
Unless I find something else.
Yeah, I mean, this rabbit hole that we've uncovered is pretty deep. So, yeah, we might have to come and visit it at another date.
We might revisit this.
Because I do have a feeling that federally, this is a Pandora box that's about to be opened in California. So stay tuned.